Hi guys, and welcome to a very special review. This time I'm bringing you two very unique and in their own right possible references. One is the SoundRhyme SR8, a 14BA IEM that has been causing some commotion as of late. Why? Well, because it has tuning switches. These tuning switches allow it to have two sound profiles, which make it extremely versatile and extremely appealing to those of us that are, let's say, audiophile inclined. As I said, it's a 14BA IEM. It supports a mix of Sonyan and Knowles BAs internally. It's got four 38AJ BAs for the bass. It then has four Knowles 3265s, four Knowles 29689, and two Knowles 29689 and four Knowles 31736 for the highs. So the unique factor here in terms of the BA selection is the usage of the 38 AJs. Usually you see the 38 D1X being the one of choice, and you find it, for example, in Neon Pro and many other, the Duno SA6 also uses it and so on. And in this case they used the AJs, and that I think is one of the reasons why it's responsible for the sort of bass that it has. But anyway, it's 14 BAs, so plenty of drivers inside. It's got the tuning switches, as I've mentioned. I'll quickly just show you the box, the usual SoundRhyme box. The IEMs came over there. The cable is exchangeable termination cable, so you can change the tip of the cable. It's not a bad cable. It's fine. It doesn't tangle. I mean, for the price that they're asking for the SR8, which is $749, I got this particular unit from Penon. You can buy it as well on their website on AliExpress. If it brought a better cable, it wouldn't have been bad. So it's not, it's not a real deal breaker. And then it brings these tips with the green shaft, let's put it that way, and then it also brings some foams. I'm using the green tips on the SR8 because it just works. It works really well. The case is this case, and my only attention to detail on this case is that I would have liked to have seen this SoundRhyme, instead of being printed on here, to have been maybe embroidered. I think that would have given it an extra touch of class. Inside the case, actually, it's fine. It's got plenty of space. I have no issues putting it inside. I'm using a Lunar Shops OCC cable. I tried a few other OCC cables from XINHS, from IVPIQ, and even from HAKUGEI. But for some reason, which I really cannot explain why it is, because I measured all of those cables that I just mentioned, they all kind of measured the same thing. This one actually wasn't the one that measured the best, but for some reason, okay, it is this. It's the one that actually sounds the best, and that synergy that I have of the SR8 with this cable is just surreal. Honestly, surreal. The IEMs themselves, they're good size. They're not the biggest I've seen, especially if you consider the count. Good size. They fit well built. You can. There's some customization also possible. This is the standard ones that you get from them. I didn't want to wait for the customs, but it's fine. It's absolutely flawless. There's really nothing here that you can honestly point as a negative aspect. And the other IEM that I have here for this comparison test, whatever you want to call it, is this baby. And what is this baby, you might ask, and rightfully so. This is an IEM made by a company in Vietnam called TXN audio. To cut a long story very short, these are probably the best all BA IEMs I have ever heard, period. And coupled to that bold statement that I just mentioned, probably also the best IEMs that I've heard to date. I know that that's a big statement. I've heard some really nice stuff. I've had the opportunity provided to me by some friends to actually have access to some really nice IEMs. I own some other IEMs which are really, really good, but there's just something about the DEST which is just absolutely unreal. This one was custom made for its owner, a good friend of mine. The finish of it, you can get them as well in a resin shell. He wanted them in a titanium shell with a custom faceplate, okay, which is basically wood. Inside it's got 4 BAs and 2 ESTs. I'm not at liberty to disclose what are the mentioned units used inside, but it's 4 BAs and 2 ESTs, which by all intents and for all intents and purposes is a minimal amount of drivers. And especially when you listen to this thing, then you realize that what they have been able to achieve, this relatively small company in Vietnam, which focuses mostly on custom IEMs for usage by musicians. It is just absolutely unreal. I'm honestly lost for words. So anyway, the fit of the DEST is perfect, flawless. Although this was custom made for its owner, it fits me beautifully. It's got a nice weight to it. It fits nicely. I'm using KB ear, the 07 tips in the medium sized. There's really nothing I can flaw in terms of its build and overall finish. Of course, we are talking $2,500. Yeah, we're not talking small money, but I have, as I said, have had access to some really good IEMs of some really nice high-end stuff lately, and although, and I stand by that saying that above $1,000, the law of diminishing returns comes into play. I am going to have to say that this is the first time that I have seen an IEM costing above $1,000 that I would gladly and happily buy if I had the means to. $2,500 is a lot of money. It is a lot of money, but the performance that the DEST is capable of giving is equally as gigantic. What did I bring out to compare or to position these two IEMs against, or so that you can get a feel of what they are capable of doing? I brought out basically some older stuff which is reference and some newer stuff which is also reference. I would have liked a few other IEMs to have been present here. Some specific models, OBA models, U12T would have been nice. Perhaps maybe even the latest soft tiers, being a 4BA, although 4BA plus 2 ESTs maybe wouldn't have been the ideal comparison, but just to again position the DEST in a more capable manner. So I've got here the venerable soft tiers RSV, 5 BAs, an absolutely amazing sounding IEM for its time when it was launched, and still today an amazing IEM. Perhaps its less spectacular feature or the technical capabilities, which for a $700+ IEM, are fine, but you expect a little bit more. But anyway, it is what it is. Next to it, we have the latest version of the Duno SA6. This is the MK2, $529. It's actually the cheapest of all of the IEMs that is here. 6 BAs, an absolute beast of an IEM as well. The bass that it has is extremely musical. It's got a bass which doesn't feel anything. If the RSV, when I tested it, and not only myself but a few other reviewers also mentioned that the bass on the RSV was very DD like. On here is even more so. Obviously that's my opinion with what I listen to, and not everybody shares that opinion. But I mean, in terms of bass, if I had to give it a rating of 1 to 10 on how good this bass is, and considering this is a BA set, not a DD, I would easily give it an 8.5 for bass. Okay. Next to that, I've got then two offerings from Awur Audio, the Awur Audio Neon Pro, which was for a long time my reference in terms of what a full BA set should be like and should sound like. It also uses a mix of Sonyans and Knowles BA drivers inside. In this particular case, it's using for the bass the 38D1X that I mentioned earlier. And again, its most prominent characteristic is its ability to play loud, clean all the time. Very clean but loud. I remember when I did the review that I said that the analogy that I could make for this would be that these are some seriously good pair of electro voice public address speakers being used in a home environment with some really good home amplifiers. That's the analogy I made, and I even said that by contrast, for example, the SA6 MK2 were those same amplifiers for home usage, but these would be like some really good B&W Nautilus speakers, that kind of analogy. I've also got its bigger brother, the Neon Pro's bigger brother, which is the Alita. This is a 12 BA set using all Knowles drivers, tuned in a very relaxed manner. The Alita is one of those IEMs that you when you listen to it, you're not initially impressed because it's very passive in the way that it plays its music. It doesn't want to make itself be known, contrary to the Neon Pro. While the Neon Pro is is the loud guy at the party, but he's the loud guy at the party that can actually do what he says he's capable of doing. This is the shy girl that just sits in the corner and waits for somebody to go and pick her up to have a dance. And once you get her to dance, you are surprised because she can dance and she has some moves, and that's exactly the Alita. The Alita is a very well tuned IEM that I think the fact that it's being tuned in this very relaxed manner works for it and against it, in the sense that yes, you don't really pick up on its capabilities until you have listened to it for a while. And on the other hand, I think that tuning also makes it a little bit boring is not the correct word, but while you listen to the Neon Pro, and straight away it's a very capable IEM with full of energy and versatility in terms of the genres that you want to play. That's quite satisfying. This is not the case here with the Alita, but anyway, that's what we have. And then finally, I've got here the venerable Anoli VX, which I also reviewed recently, and the Anoli VX really needs no long introduction. It also has some switches that allow its tuning to be changed slightly. I'm using the 010 switch setting, which is the one that makes sense, at least for me, in terms of the mids. The one that the setting which boosts the bass, which is the 110 setting, it just bloats the bass. That's a mess. And then if you actually put the third switch, which affects the treble, in the one position, it makes this IM, which is already highly resolving, highly detailed capable, it makes it become excessive to the point that it's colored. Okay, at least that's how I perceive it in my ears. That's how it comes across. But anyway, this is $2,200. Again, almost one of the most expensive IEMs that I have here and on for you. And it's known, period, for its technicalities, for its technical capabilities. Just to recap again quickly in terms of the prices so that there's no confusion here. SR8 $749, DEST $2,500, RSV you can get it for about $700 right now, MK2 $529, Neon Pro 700, the Alita is $980 if I'm not mistaken, and the Anoli VX is $2,200. Okay, so let's get into this now. Let me try and explain then how these two IEMs sound. The QDC Anoli VX and the Neon Pro and the to a certain extent as well the Duno, they have a bass curve which is focused on the sub bass, but still with very capable mid bass and so very capable thump associated with it. Of the three, the one that is the coldest will be the QDC. The one that is the most energetic will be the Neon Pro. The one that will be the most tonally and in terms of timbre, the correct is for me the MK2. This and the DEST have a bass curve which is more mid bass focused. So it doesn't have the ultimate lowest bass that those are capable of doing, and to a certain extent even the RSV. But it compensates that by having a very engaging thump, and that thump actually is where it should be in terms of its frequency selection, or the frequency that it hits the hardest at. And again, in terms of sub bass, in terms of rumble, there's not a lot of things out there which have that. So it's not that it's not good to have extension below, let's say, 30 hertz. Yes, it is. It will complement, in terms of its harmonics, it will complement the mid bass, the mids, and so on and so forth very nicely. But the amount of information that you have there, most of the times, except with the exception of some classical stuff, and I'm obviously resuming it and generalizing a little bit. But for the taking into consideration that it's some classical stuff that can really go deep, that can really rumble, and there's electronic music that is also composed in that manner. The majority of what I hear, be it Larry Carlton's, be it Jesse J, be it Jacob Garavich, be it George Duke, the majority of what I listen to, the fact that they have this bass which seems to be a little bit rolled off is in no way a detriment or a problem or an issue. Okay. The bass on the SR8 is a bass that I would say sits somewhere in between the Neon Pro and the SA6. It doesn't have the ultimate rumble of this, but it's got basically, it's actually got more impact than that. Timbrally, it tends towards more, in terms of timbrally, I don't know if that's the word, but in terms of timbre and tonality, it tends to be more similar to the SA6. So it's a nice, warm, satisfying bass. The same like the SA6, while on the Neon Pro the bass is also nice and warm, but it's a colder bass. If you listen to it on its own, you have one perception. When you start comparing, then you pick up on what I just said, that the bass here is a little bit warmer. Okay. Then the mids. Actually, let me just rewind a little bit. So, bass in terms of its timbre and so on and so forth, timbre and tonality is, like I said, in between there. Speed, BA speed, cleanliness, that result, perfect. Nothing that can be said there. It's perfect. It's on the level of the best IEMs here, easily. Okay. In terms of the mids, this has a very progressive and slow pinna gain, which, in my opinion, at least, I could be wrong. I don't have to necessarily be right all the time. I'm not right. That's why I learn. The SR8 sounds very spacious. It's a very big sounding IEM. Okay. The Neon Pro, for example, has a pinna gain which is earlier. That, although it's also got a lot of space in its presentation, it makes it sound a little bit more cozy, more closed down, okay, more like a small venue, while this gives you the perception of a big venue, of a stadium. The mids on the SS6 are about being relaxed, chilled, smooth, very clean, but engaging with a certain amount of energy associated with them, much like the mids of the RSV. Okay, the mids on the Anole VX are also like the Neon Pro, slightly forward, which, yes, it has its advantages, obviously, but it can get a little bit fatiguing with specific music. You know, especially if it's a busy song, it can get a little bit out of whack. The mids on the Alita, very relaxed again. So the mids here are relaxed, but again, the way that the timbre and the tonality has been done makes them, and the fact that they have the right amount of energy, makes the mids very engaging, very satisfying to listen to. I easily prefer the mids on the SR8 to the RSV, to the Alita, and even to the QDC. As compared to these two, the MK6 and the Neon Pro, they are trading blows. It's very hard for me to say, now this is the one that wins the most times, that's the one that loses. No, the mids are all very good. Slight differences, slight nuances, like I said, very smooth, very energetic, kind of an in-between. But all are very good, all are very gratifying. In terms of then the high frequency, the treble. The treble of the SR8 is very clean, although it's not that it doesn't, or that it's not capable of reaching up there. It is. It just, there are occasions where sometimes it can come across as it's lacking a little bit of detail. Just a little bit more of detail would have been nice. What is a song that, for example, I could see that? Endless Lawns from Kurt Edling, Piece of Me from Candace Springs. You listen to those songs, okay, and I haven't even mentioned the DEST, but you listen to those two songs, for example, in the MK2, in the NP, in the Neon Pro, in the QDC, and even in the RSV, and they've just got that little extra amount of, I don't know what, I'm not even going to say it's detail, there's just an extra amount of atmosphere, okay? This one is just slightly behind that, but I mean the differences are very minimal, and for all we know, it actually could be just down to my hearing not being what it used to be. So let's not make too much of it. Technically, as I've mentioned before, in terms of timbre and tonality, it's a very well done OBA set. Soundstage, decent width, really decent width. It's a lot of space, a lot of height. The depth is perhaps the characteristic that is not as much as it would be. Perfect imaging, from my opinion, perfect imaging. Nothing really that can be faulted there. And when it comes to resolution and detailed retrieval, perfect. It is spot on. They have nailed the tuning of the SR8 to perfection. One thing that I forgot or I neglected to mention is the fact that I'm using the 1-1 setting. I used the other setting, which was a setting which kind of basically lowers the energy of the mids and the highs and brings down the output of the bass as well. And in that setting, it just becomes, it's not that it's not good, it sounds good, but it just becomes an IEM that you kind of think, oh, but 14 BAs for this, you know, so it doesn't, it's not a tuning setting that I think does justice to the SR8's capability. Okay, so there you have it, guys. This is not so much me trying to say it's better or worse, but if I had, as I mentioned just a few minutes ago, the Neon Pro as my reference when it came to OBA sets, and that reference was then joined now with the MK2 from Duno, this easily joins this trio. Okay, this is definitely capable of standing next to these two IMs easily, and you know, trading blows and being capable to perform the way it should perform. All right, so that's it. SR8, I believe I've talked about it enough. We don't really need to continue. I'll get to the graphs just now and show you. Onto the DEST. And for the DEST, the owner of the DEST made it a point that I should get his Lotto. This is the Pure Gold Touch Titanium. So we're talking a serious DAP here, and he made it a point that I should listen to it with this DAP. I still nevertheless listen to it, all of these IEMs, with my trusted NX7 and M15 connected up to my phone. And let me put it this way: if connected to my little Frankenstein rig with my phone, it sounded good enough for me to say it's probably the best IEM I've ever heard. With the Lotto, connected with the Lotto, which obviously is a very well designed DAP and very capable sonically, it just brings out that little extra that the DEST still had kept for itself and wasn't showcasing. Let me then quickly break down again everything. Bass, flawless. It's a bass that's very much like the SR8's bass, mid-bass focused, but it's got more than enough energy at the low end to complement everything nicely. It is a very demanding IEM to power. I easily had it in my Frankenstein. I easily had it at about 3/4 of volume. Okay, easily on the mid gain setting. All right, on the Pure, I was at basically 32 on volume. I was already at the lower volumes that I listened to the others, which was like 30 or 32. This wasn't even awake. I had to really push the volume to around 48, 50 in the scale of 1 to 100 of the Lotto. So it is a hard IM to power. It needs power. It's very power hungry. As I was saying, bass is flawless. It is absolutely flawless. It's got that speed, the dynamics, everything is there. Perfect. The way the pinna gain is done is not like on the Neon Pro. Or it's a pinna gain that's done more along the lines of the SR8 bar RSV. So with a relatively quick rise of the pinna gain, and then things backing down off from there. There's a peak at around 5k, a dip at around 5k, which helps out with making things nice and clean and not fatiguing. And as I was saying, the mids are pure magic. It's where this IEM, it's where it basically captured my attention, was in the mids. How they've been able to get this type of sound from only 4 BAs is honestly beyond me. You do a multiple BA set in order to make sure that you can reach good volumes, that you don't have BAs working on the limits with plenty of headroom. What they've done with 4 BAs and 2 ESTs here, honestly, is nothing short of magic. I don't know what they did. I don't know if the drivers are developed with a certain amount of customization for them. What I do know is bass is there in plenty quantity. It's not lacking in any way. Mids are absolutely fantastic, and then the extension of the treble and the ESTs and so on and so forth. It's look, if the Anoli VX is detailed, okay, and very capably so. If the Neon Pro is basically a Anoli VX, 95% Anoli VX in that aspect. If even the MK2 and the SR8 are very, very good in terms of detailed retrieval, superior to the RSV and to the Alita, any one of these two, superior, period. The magicality, again, I hope I'm saying that correct, that they bring to this DEST's highs is just unreal. It is clean. The Lotto is clean, and that cleanliness comes across here perfectly, because again, this is clean. That's the thing that really jumps to you when you listen to this, is how clean the sound is. It is highly detailed. It's got details for weeks. So bass, perfect. Mids, perfect. Highs, crazy. Detailed retrieval, timbre, tonality, texturing, resolution, perfect. Imaging, spot on. Nothing to say about imaging. Soundstage, wide, tall, deep. It strikes everything on the head with a very, very good level of execution. Okay, there was not a single time that I said, I wish it had a little bit more. Not a single time. It is, obviously this is a very unique IM. Not many people have it, so it's not exactly easy for people to confirm and possibly corroborate what I'm saying. But I believe, that I've gained the respect of enough people for them to say, well, if Acros is saying that this is good, it must be good, and I'll leave it at that. It is, as I mentioned earlier in the beginning of my review, the best IM that I've heard to date in terms of all BA, unquestionably, and all BA plus DD, probably one of the best ones that I've heard. Like I mentioned, the cleanliness is surreal. You put up and up from Jeff Ryan, that sax, it sounds, I don't even know how to describe it. That's how good it sounds. Tequila Moon from Jesse J, fantastic. Mexican Margarita from Jacob Goravich, unreal reproduction, unreal. Blackbird from Lady Blackbird, or Endless Lawns from Kurt Elling, or Piece of Me from Candace Springs. Surreal. In every one of the songs that I was playing, the feeling that I got was that I was the performer, the artist was there. That's how highly capable the DEST is, in my opinion. So yeah, guys, as I said, the SR8 has now become a third reference for me in terms of an all-BA set priced up to $1,000. And the DEST joins those groups. You could almost say it's D'Artagnan and the Three Musketeers. Obviously it's $2,500, so it's a different game. It's a different league, but it is from now on, trust me, when people tell me what is a good 4BA set, no money, no budget, really an issue, I'm going to mention the DEST, because that's how good it is. Anyway, guys, I'll show you now the graphs, and then we'll finish it up, we'll wrap it up. Take care. Hi guys, and welcome now to the graph section for the SoundRhyme SR8 and the TXN DEST. Let me just quickly align these two graphs here so that we can then start talking. These two graphs actually belong to the SR8. 1 second, my apologies. Just gonna 1K. Okay, that's it. Okay, so let's start this. This is the SoundRhyme, the SR8, with its two settings. The other settings, that, well, it will be basically the same thing. One setting is the 00 setting, and as you can see, it rolls off the bass after 100, below 100 hertz. Just rolls it off nicely. Very neutral in the mids. Everything across here is very neutral. No sibilance, no nothing. But it, in my opinion, just loses too much of the detail past 10K, and also this roll off here maybe just a tad too steep. If it was maybe a little bit less, it would have been a better option. The other one is the 1-1 setting, where you can then see that focus on the mid bass, especially in this area here between, let's say, 50 and 150. That's the area where it's mostly emphasized. Then below 50 it sort of rolls off again. Questionable whether it actually rolls off as much as what you see there. And then, very nice the way that it transitions from the lowest of the bass notes into the mid bass, into the mids, how it does then the pinna gain. I'm actually going to remove here the 00. How it does the pinna gain in a very relaxed, smooth manner. I honestly cannot fault it. It might not be the most pretty looking graph, I'll give you that much, but I honestly cannot fault the way that it has graph, because it sounds absolutely ridiculously good. Let's compare it now first with the Anoli VX, and let me change the color here of the Anoli so it stands out a little bit more. Okay, there we go. And now let's normalize it. Oops, sorry. Let's normalize the Anoli at 500 hertz. Okay. I wouldn't entirely say that this is what I actually hear, because I do not hear such a big difference in terms of energy as you would extrapolate from looking at this. The Anoli VX, yes, is very detailed, but it's very clinical. This early rise of the pinna gain makes things, as I mentioned earlier, sound just a little bit tad too urgent, and that can, coupled with the fact that it's OBAs, maybe also sometimes lead to some fatigue, to some B8 timbre, although very minimal. It can lead after a period of extended listening to those aspects kind of starting to show themselves. And we're talking to $2,200, so we want everything to be perfect. But as you can see, the SR8 graphs beautifully next to the Anoli. It loses nothing to it. Next one, I'm going to show you the Duno SA6. Put this in a different color as well. There you go. Duno SA6. Okay, let me remove the first one and let me normalize now this. Let's normalize this 500 hertz. There we go. This is very accurate. You do notice that there's a little bit more sub-bass rumble on the SA6, and you do notice that there's a little extra extension past 10K on the SA6. The rest is very give and take. So yeah, that's that. Next one now, the Alita. Let me just adjust here the normalization. Okay, by seeing the Alita, with this graph, you would think, oh, okay, It sounds basically the same, no, it doesn't. The Alita is very, very chilled out by comparison, okay? Very relaxed. That's not a bad thing, it's just the way it's been tuned. But being tuned in that manner doesn't allow for a high degree of versatility across all genres and can lead to some fatigue in terms of it being boring, okay? And again, please take boring with a grain of salt. I'm not here. The next one I'm going to show you is the Neon Pro. Let me just get it here. And now let me excuse me. Let me now just normalize the graph. And I'm going to do it again at 500 Hertz. There we go. Very much like is the case with the Anoli VX. Okay. And let me just remove here the SR8 for a second. They are carbon copies to a certain extent of each other. The tuning philosophy that one follows is being followed almost to the point by the other. The way the bass is executed, the rise of the pinna gain a little bit earlier for the Anoli, a little bit less later for the Neon Pro, but in essence the same thing, kind of energy levels maintaining themselves across until about 10k, and then that energy passed. So the QDC and the NP, they sound almost identical. Where I would give the advantage to the NP is the fact that its timbre and its tonality are a little bit more agreeable for me. So when I compare it with the SR8, it's not so much here that I notice the difference. Where I do notice the difference in terms of energy is obviously in the mids, yes. And again, I don't notice that significant amount of difference as the graph would show in terms of the past 10k, the extension past 10k, how it creates that air satisfaction, okay? And so that's that. And then finally, but not least, the graph of the DEST. There we go. Let me just align it now. Align it at 500 Hertz. Sorry guys. And there we go, fantastic. And as you see, the DEST actually has a very similar design philosophy for its signature. The bass on both of them is almost carbon copy, almost. I really struggled to tell the difference, if any difference existed. And then yes, you notice a more abrupt pinna gain, but still done within very reasonable limits. Okay, and then carrying on through the frequency range and extension past 10k. In terms of how they sound, by looking at this, they sound similar. Yes, they're not gonna sound radically different. No, they don't. They sound similar, but the advantage is for the DEST. The DEST is just it is genuinely a beast of an IM. Okay. The other thing I just wanted to quickly show you that I mentioned in the review was how they are kind of divided into two groups. So you have the group which is comprised of the Anoli, and it's comprised of the Neon Pro, almost identical, and comprised of the, there we go, no, that's not, yeah, this one, and comprised of the Duno MK2, SA6 MK2. These three have a very similar kind of bass, and then it's just various levels of energy between, let's say, 1K and 8, and then extension past that, but very similar. The second group is comprised of the SoundRhyme. Okay, there we go, SoundRhyme. The Alita, for the audio Alita, and the DEST. Let me actually just take the other so that we don't make so much of confusion here and you guys can actually understand what I'm trying to show you. Okay, so number 5 is the sorry, not the neon pro that I want to take that out. I need to really, there we go. Okay, this is the second group, as I was mentioning, the DEST with the SR8 with that more kind of mid-bass focused bass curve. See the difference there for the Anoli, and now the Award, again same design, and finally the MK6 number 3. You see how they are divided. Okay, the other noticeable difference between them is how quickly the pin again begins, and then what is the level of the rest of the mids, upper mids, and presence area. If you notice carefully, you will see that they basically kind of follow the same design philosophy. It's just various levels. Okay, so yeah, that's it, guys. I mean, there's really not much I can add to this. Oh wait, I was forgetting one thing. I was forgetting to show you the RSV. How could I do that? Soft ears. 1 second, my apologies. There we go, RSV. Let me just take away everyone except for the SR8. Okay, so that is the RSV, and now let's align this. There you go. So again, an interesting characteristic, the fact that the RSV has got a very similar kind of design in terms of its slow pin again and in the mids to the SR8. It just lacks that mid bass impact that the SR8 has, and yeah, that's it. Anyway, guys, this has been really long. Leave you one last time with the graph of the SR8. Perfect in my opinion, really nothing that can be said, and the graph of the DEST from TXN. Again, fantastic. I am absolutely unreal. As always, like and subscribe. If you have any questions that you want to ask me, please feel free to do so. And yeah, I will see you in the next one. All right, you take care now. Bye bye.